There are many ways Social Security can stop your check, some instantly, some after a short clock runs out. A missed exam, an unreported move, 1 month abroad on SSI, even a small mistake on a bank statement can trigger a suspension or termination. For seniors, SSDI and SSI recipients living check to check, that's a nightmare. Today I'll walk you, calmly and clearly, through the biggest cutoff triggers, how they work, and exactly what to do to protect your benefits. By the end, you'll know the warning signs, the time limits, and the documentation SSA expects when they send those letters. Before we start, subscribe to Social Security Post and tap the bell so you never miss critical updates. And I want to hear from you. Drop your Social Security SSDI or SSI questions in the comments. If you've ever faced a suspension, tell us what happened and what fixed it. Your story could spare someone else months of hardship. When a beneficiary dies, Title II, retirement, and SSDI and SSI payments stop. Banks and funeral homes often notify SSA, but families should report the death immediately to prevent overpayments. If a payment arrives for the month after the death, remember, Social Security pays the month after it's due, that payment is generally not payable and must be returned. Survivors may be eligible for a one-time death payment and for survivor benefits, but those require separate eligibility and filing. Using a deceased person's account is bank fraud and SSA fraud. Prosecutors regularly pursue these cases, and penalties can include repayment, fines, and prison. If you're handling a loved one's affairs, close or block the direct deposit once the death is reported. Keep records of communications with SSA and the bank, and ask SSA about survivor entitlements for a spouse, child, or dependent parent. If the Office of the Inspector General, OIG, or SSA establishes fraud, false statements, forged signatures, concealed work, or assets, misuse of a deceased person's benefits, benefits can be terminated and overpayments assessed. CDI units, Cooperative Disability Investigations, may interview neighbors, review social media, and verify activities that contradict alleged disability limitations. Consequences are severe: overpayment recovery, civil penalties, criminal charges, and long-term loss of eligibility. To protect yourself, report changes promptly, keep copies of everything you submit, and never guess on forms. If you don't know, say you don't know, and provide documentation later. If you receive a fraud-related letter, respond immediately and consider legal counsel. SSA can suspend benefits if you don't respond to mail, complete forms, verify identity, or attend required exams, interviews. For overpayments, SSA can withhold part of your monthly check to recover the debt. Recent policy changes generally allow lower default withholdings in many cases, often around 10% by default, adjustable for hardship, but ignoring letters can escalate to full suspension. The fix: open and read every SSA letter the day it arrives. If you need more time, call the number on the letter and request an extension. If you moved, update your address on your MI Social Security account and by phone. If you don't understand a request, ask SSA to explain it simply and confirm what documents will satisfy the request. SSA periodically asks for bank statements, pay stubs, proof of rent and food arrangements, immigration papers, or medical updates. If you don't provide them, SSA may suspend and later terminate. They usually issue 1 or more warnings with deadlines. Missing 2 or 3 cycles can shut the door until you comply. Best practice: keep a benefits binder with monthly bank statements, pay stubs, leases, and key letters. If a bank can't produce older statements, ask for a bank letter of unavailability and provide whatever you have, e.g. screenshots, PDFs, account histories. Document every attempt to comply: dates, names, and call notes, and send copies via certified mail or upload through approved SSA channels when available. For SSDI and SSI disability, SSA must verify you're still disabled. They'll mail a CDR form and may schedule a consultative examination, CE with an SSA doctor. Missing the form or CE can trigger suspension and then termination. If you can't attend the CE time, call immediately to reschedule. You generally must show good cause, transportation issue, hospitalization, etc. Prepare smart, update your medical records, list current medications, and describe your functional limits in ordinary terms, sitting-standing limits, lifting, concentration, flare-ups. If you've worked at any level, disclose it and be ready to explain accommodations and why it doesn't show medical improvement. Keep receipts of submissions and appointment letters. If mail is returned undeliverable, SSA may suspend because they can't verify eligibility. Homeless or unstably housed beneficiaries should consider using a trusted mailing address, shelter, relative, attorney, and checking it weekly. If you relocate out of the U.S., see Section 17, different rules apply, especially for SSI. Pro tip: even if you owe no taxes, file a simple tax return with your current address. SSA can sometimes confirm addresses through IRS data. Also, keep your My Social Security profile updated. If mail service is unreliable, call SSA to ask about alternative delivery options or in-office pickups. Eligibility for payment in the U.S. requires lawful presence for non-citizens. Payments outside the U.S. are governed by separate alien non-payment and treaty rules. If you lose lawful status, SSA can suspend. And remember Fleming versus Nestor, 1960, Social Security benefits are not a vested contractual right. Congress can change the conditions under which they're paid. If your status changes, notify SSA immediately and consult an immigration attorney. Some categories allow continued payment abroad or reinstatement once status is resolved. Keep immigration documents current and provide SSA with proof of lawful presence when requested. For Title II, retirement and SSDI and SSI, benefits are generally not payable for any full month you're incarcerated. Practically, once incarceration lasts 30-plus consecutive days, the next full month becomes non-payable. Short stays that don't cover an entire month typically don't stop benefits, but timing matters. When released, contact SSA immediately to reinstate Title II or redetermine SSI benefits. Bring release papers. Expect possible overpayments if SSA was notified late. If you joined a rehab or halfway house, ask whether it affects eligibility and what documents SSA needs. SSA can suspend for certain probation or parole violation warrants. Definitions have been narrowed by court settlements over the years, but valid outstanding warrants, especially for supervision violations, can affect eligibility until resolved. If you learn of a warrant, work with your attorney and keep SSA updated on court dates and outcomes. Once cleared, submit proof of resolution promptly. Do not ignore SSA letters referencing law enforcement data. Respond fast and keep copies. If you're in a medical facility where Medicaid pays greater than 50% of the cost, SSI often drops to a reduced federal benefit rate, commonly $30 per month, plus any state supplement. For Title II, hospital stays don't by themselves suspend benefits, but incarceration does, see Section 8. Long-term placement can still change living arrangement rules that affect SSI. Ask the facility's social worker for an SSA liaison. If your living arrangement changes, e.g., from hospital to nursing facility to home, report it immediately. SSI amounts can change monthly based on who pays for food and shelter. Keep admission/discharge papers, Medicaid coverage letters, and billing summaries. SSI is needs-based. Countable resources must be less than or equal to $2,000 individual, or less than or equal to $3,000 couple. Bank balances, cash, extra vehicles, extra real estate, some life insurance cash values, and certain financial accounts count. One primary residence and one vehicle used for transportation are typically excluded, regardless of car value. Exceeding the limit can suspend SSI and create overpayments. SSA increasingly verifies bank data. If you go over, ask SSA about spend down rules. You may pay legitimate expenses, rent, utilities, medical, debts, necessary household items, to get below the limit, but keep receipts and a spend down log. Don't gift away assets. That can cause periods of ineligibility. Inheritances and cash gifts often count as income in the month received, and resources thereafter for SSI. If not reported, SSA may suspend and pursue overpayments. Timing is crucial. Spending on allowable needs in the month received can prevent the funds from becoming a resource the next month. Report immediately, ask SSA how it will be counted, and document every dollar spent, who was paid, why, date, and amount. Keep bank statements and receipts. If the funds push you over for a month, confirm when you'll be re-eligible after spend down. For SSDI, working above the substantial gainful activity limit can stop entitlement after trial work/safety net periods. SSA updates SGA annually. For 2025, the non-blind SGA is widely cited around $1,620 per month, while the blind SGA is higher. Always verify the current year on SSA.gov. For SSI, earnings reduce payments via a formula. First $20 plus $65 excluded, then $1 reduction per $2 earned. And high earnings can zero out the check. Be transparent. Report wages monthly, pay stubs, or employer verification. If on SSDI, understand trial work period TWP months and extended period of eligibility. If on SSI, ask about impairment-related work expenses, IRWES, and student earned income exclusions. Both can increase keepable earnings. SSA compares your payments with wage databases and 1,099 W-2 filings. Not reporting wages, even part-time or cash gigs, leads to overpayments, potential penalties, and suspension. Many overpayments happen because people assume small hours don't matter. Use SSA's wage reporting tools, call, mail, app options where available. Submit pay stubs promptly. If your hours fluctuate, send every stub. If an overpayment hits, you can request a waiver, if not your fault and repayment is a hardship, or a reduction plan, but silence is what escalates cases. With SSI, one home you live in is excluded. Additional real estate is generally countable. One vehicle used for transportation is excluded. Additional vehicles count toward the $2,000/$3,000 limit. Life insurance with cash surrender value above certain thresholds, e.g. more than $1,500, across policies, is generally countable. If you inherit a second property or hold title with family, talk to SSA about disposal periods and whether you can receive conditional benefits while trying to sell. Keep listing agreements, appraisals, and proof of attempts to sell to show good faith. Marriage can affect SSI due to spousal deeming. Part of a spouse's income resources may count. Divorce can remove deeming and increase SSI. For child benefits, changes in custody or household can shift who is paid. Failing to report these changes leads to overpayments and possible suspension. Report changes within 10 days of the month after they occur. Bring marriage/divorce certificates, custody orders, and updated lease/food and shelter information. For SSI, in-kind support and maintenance, when others pay for your food shelter, can lower your payment. So document who pays what. SSI stops after you've been outside the U.S. for 30 consecutive days and doesn't resume until you've been back 30 consecutive days. Title II, retirement/SSDI, can often be paid abroad, but rules vary by citizenship, country, and treaties. Some countries are restricted. If you plan extended travel, call SSA before you go. For SSI, keep trips under 30 days or expect suspension. For Title II, ask about payments abroad, banking, and proof of life requirements. Keep flight itineraries, entry/exit stamps, and temporary address info handy. SSA can suspend if you refuse to provide access to financial records, living arrangement details, or immigration documentation necessary to determine eligibility or payment amount. Even a bank's inability to retrieve old statements isn't a pass. SSA expects alternative documentation or a bank letter of unavailability. Solution: propose reasonable substitutes, other month statements, transaction histories, landlord letters, receipts. Keep proof you asked the bank and what they provided. If you need time, request an extension in writing. For SSI, lottery or gambling winnings are income in the month received and a resource afterward if retained, often pushing you over the limit and stopping SSI. For Title II, winnings don't reduce the check, but they may affect SSI, add-ons, Medicaid, or extra help. Casinos and lotteries report winnings to IRS mismatches surface. If you receive a windfall, report it immediately. And ask about spend down. Pay necessary expenses in the month of receipt, rent, medical, debts, essential goods, to avoid it becoming a resource next month. Document every payment. Claiming you returned to the U.S. when you haven't, or failing to tell SSA you're still abroad, leads to overpayments and suspension for SSI. SSA can verify with entry/exit records, financial activity, and online footprints. If you stayed out longer than planned, tell SSA the truth and re-establish presence. You'll generally need 30 consecutive days back in the U.S. to regain SSI. Keep travel proofs, housing papers, and local transactions to show your actual return date. Bottom line, most cutoffs happen for 3 reasons: not reporting changes, missing SSA deadlines, or going over SSI's income/resource limits. The fastest way to protect your check is to open every SSA letter, report changes within 10 days, keep a paper trail, and ask for help the moment you're confused. If something goes wrong, respond immediately and request reconsideration, a waiver, or a payment plan. Silence is the real enemy. If this helped, like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post. Then ask your Social Security, SSDI, SSI, Medicare, or SNAP questions in the comments. Your question could be our next deep dive. And if you've battled a suspension or overpayment, share what fixed it so others can learn from your experience. Your voice helps this community stay informed and stay paid.